Saturday, 3:30 a.m. Scott Draper. It all began about a week ago, when the house in Santa Fe, which had been vacant for several years, came back online. The bugs Scott Draper had placed around the Medford house were all designed to detect and transmit information when anything was different. He first became aware that something was happening when the utilities were turned on. When that happened, he quickly did the research to confirm that the house had not been sold and it was still owned by Chris Medford. For a long time, he had been unaware that the previous owner, Ruth Medford, had children. Yet, when he did the research, all he could conclude was that Chris had to be the previous owner's daughter. Old Miss Medford had died a few years before, and apparently, she had left everything to her closest living relative. He had checked all the county records and legal documents that he could find. Recently, he had hacked into Ruth Medford's attorney's office to get copies of her legal documents. His initial failure on that front had only spurred him to try harder. Finally, he had managed to find his way in through various security encryptions and had accessed everything the attorney had in his electronic files. Scott was able to get copies and scans of hundreds of documents. He had stayed up late last night plowing through the documents, and he had found Ruth Medford's will. He also found bank account statements, property records, and everything else private and personal that Ruth had shared with her attorney. He had gathered information that lit a new fire under him, and he was anxious to move things along as quickly as possible. As these thoughts danced in his head, he pushed himself off the couch and wandered into his home office, which was roaring and buzzing with the sound of the small fans inside his electronics, keeping everything cool. It was the home office of a computer geek extraordinaire, and it had several monitors and keyboards on various desks. He went to the center desk and rolled the chair under it. He tapped on the keyboard, and the screen came alive. He clicked on the tracking app he was using and began to review the data log for today. It was the same as the last few days, with little or no activity. There was the regular online browsing, innocuous texting, and music streaming, but there was very little activity aside from that. He did see that an email notification had arrived on Friday morning verifying furniture delivery, which, interestingly enough, would be arriving from Tucson. He wondered about that and felt a little exposed. He had been careful to cover all of his tracks, so it had to be a coincidence, but it felt like something different. So, as Chris Medford was moving into the home, he had been unsure until today what was going on, and his first thought had been that the house was going up for sale. But that had changed. Would this mysterious Chris know anything? He pulled up the picture he found of her as the new executive director of the Sandoval Family Foundation. He read the short bio again, searching for any clue that he might have missed. Santa Fe, New Mexico. The foundation is pleased to announce the hiring of our new executive director, Chris Medford. Miss Medford comes to us from Tucson, Arizona, where she was actively involved in social justice work and where she completed her master's in nonprofit business administration. She has spent much of her professional and work life developing new initiatives and creating social business ventures for nonprofits. Miss Medford is keenly excited about the Foundation's incubator program and the Foundation's ongoing support of small business development in Santa Fe. Miss Medford will begin her work with us on Monday, October 7th, 2013. Please join us in extending a warm welcome to Miss Medford. He had searched every database he could find, but he couldn't locate any record for Chris Medford before last year. As far as he could tell, she didn't exist before that. Anything he could find was inconclusive and vague. He stared at her picture on the screen as he tried to figure out why she seemed so familiar. He felt as if he should just know her, yet he was sure he had not met her before. He had found some information in the university's database, including her earned degree, but prior to last year, she simply didn't exist. He considered the situation and decided that because Chris Medford would be staying, there was enough activity to warrant closer scrutiny. He decided that taking some action was important, so he began by texting his contact and initiated increased surveillance. In a couple of days, everything would start to fall into place, and maybe his waiting would pay off. He yawned a deep yawn and checked the time. It was only 9:30 p.m., but he decided he was tired enough to sleep. He clicked the computers into sleep mode, then slowly stood and padded down the hall. He completed his bedtime ritual of brushing his teeth and washing his face. Then he crawled into his unmade bed and quickly found himself falling into the warm folds of sleep as his brain continued to repeat the same question. Who is Chris Medford, and what does she know?